I always feel like somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy.
Oh my God. This is the What's Next podcast, Houston's #1 platform where I invite creatives to share their journeys and give us a depiction of their visions. Most importantly, the last question I'll ask is, what's next?
Whoa.
Are we rolling now?
Champagne.
Yeah.
Champagne.
Is this too loud?
It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Houston, Texas, Booker T. Washington, class of 2003 is in the building.
Hey. What's up, what's up, what's up?
Walk with us.
Yo, it feel like 95. Sachi on my body. Biggie, jigger, puffy. All that ballin' is a hobby. Ain't no wildin' in my wallies.
Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas. Welcome back to the 106th edition of the What's Next podcast, a production of Still Visionary Inc.
I should have been on 100. Yeah, I think that would have been good. But I'll take the 106. What's up, H-Town?
H-Town.
H-Town in the building.
Your very own.
BT Dub.
BT Dub.
We've known each other a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, 17, 18 years.
Yeah.
Or maybe longer than that.
And them good old hallway classes.
Yeah, we may be 20 years. I think we're 20 years.
And
01?
No, 2000.
I got there in 10th. Oh, yeah, 2000. Yeah, 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long time.
And you know, the difference between you and Sade, only difference is that we had all of our classes together, with exception to the electives, like the dances, choirs and all, but all
Art.
the engineering and science and English.
Yes, I was struggling in that math when I got over there to Booker T. Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was struggling. I needed a tutor. I went from making straight A's at North Shore to I need a tutor to pass.
I needed a tutor too, 9th grade year.
I mean, goodness. I mean, it prepared me for college, but it was a struggle.
Miss May, when I got to Booker T. Washington, fall 99. Okay. Miss May, one of the illest math teachers I've ever had in my life.
Come on.
I don't, you know what? I'll put Miss Lewis over her.
Oh, you know, Miss Lewis lives in the tray.
I heard. But it makes sense though.
Okay.
It makes sense for her to live out here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm in Miss May's class.
Okay.
And Miss May says, you know, you're normally thinking about the introduction that you're going to get, that middle school introduction. Hello, guys. I'm such and such and this and this and that. Miss May's like, welcome to Algebra 1. See those books over there on the corner, on the floor? Open up to page 1. See, you didn't have Miss May.
That sounds like a professor at a university.
Because we were doing Algebra 1 and geometry that year.
Okay.
So we finished Algebra 1 that fall semester. The whole book. I think it was Algebra 1B. Whoa.
I mean, that's how I felt when I got to Booker T. It was like move fast. We covering one chapter in like 10 minutes. I forgot that lady's name. She Pedro?
Miss San Pedro.
Miss San Pedro. I was like, this lady has to be on something if she expects us to catch on to this. And then I'm watching the class and everyone is so responsive and she's asking a question and people are like, whoop, 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 whoop. They're giving responses and she's putting up equations and people have the answers immediately. And I'm like, I guess I'm not as smart as I thought I was.
You know what it was, man?
I mean, there were some sharp individuals that attended the High School for Engineering Professions at Booker T. Washington. And not only were they sharp, I mean, it was a diverse group of kids, right? So, of course, African Americans, I mean, There were Caucasians, there were Indians. I mean, everybody.
Mexicans.
And it was like there was a determination to learn, right? Everybody was in there with a determination to learn. You had a few class clowns, but primarily no.
Right. Listen, man, for me, this is around junior year. After 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
I was in Coach Cobra's class.
Yes, I walked into school late the day of 9/11. I remember it vividly. Like, school had already started, and
right.
I was just getting there, and I was walking up the stairs, and like I could tell nobody was learning.
Right.
Coach Cobra's class was the first class when you come up the stairs, but somebody else's class was to the right. And like everybody was just looking at the television, but I could tell nobody was learning.
Mr. Brienzo moved to that class, right?
I think so.
Right.
I think so. And so I just walked in Coach Cobra's class. I may have been in his class.
I'm telling you, we had all the same classes
I was
together.
in his class. I was in his class, and I walked in, and everybody was just looking at the television.
From all the core classes.
Yeah.
The ones that count. Now the ones that kept us engineering,
right,
we had together.
Yeah.
Now the ones that we had to do individually are arts that we all had. I had Miss Lee one year.
See, I never had Miss Lee because I didn't do the vocal thing. I was still working on my that E. I'm trying to get on that E that E note. Is it E? What is it called? Well, the alto. I'm trying to perfect my alto. My contralto.
Okay, there we go.
My contralto.
There we go. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm great. Like, I can't complain at all. It wouldn't do any good.
Right.
Out here surviving, networking, doing some good things on that end. God's been good.
Right.
He really has. He has definitely just surpassed my dreams.
Right.
That's pretty much how I would word that.
You know what? Before we introduce ourselves, because we haven't.
Oh, we sure have not.
Right. I want to ask you, is this your first podcast?
I think it is. I told you I did something virtual.
Right.
I don't really consider that because I don't know if you can really get the vibe.
Right.
So, yeah, I would say it is.
Okay. Welcome to the What's Next podcast.
Come on.
Boy, you ain't on my side. Boy, you ain't on my side.
My side.
Say, boy, you ain't on.
Let's go.
I say sign for 15. He couldn't afford a lawyer. You know it been a long night when I hear Tom Joyner right off in the State 05. Boy, we out here bending corners. Came up in this wicked place. Taught me never be a loner. Niggas running off with your bread. They'll leave you real hungry. And if you in debt, they creep up and put that steam on you. It's a lot of ways out, but we can only choose two. It's that ball of that street, my nigga, what you finna do? Senior year came up, cap and gown, Nike shoes. I like making decisions and moving when I want to move. From that point on in my life, I just knew to stay true. At the end of the day, only thing matter is revenue. 17, watching cops race down the avenue. Sun beaming, got it hot, feel like you walking in some glue. This the truth, different rules to the shit I had to do. This the truth, different rules to the shit I had to do.
Listen, man, I wanted to start out there. Really, we should have started off with our names.
Indeed.
Before we continue with the episode, let's introduce ourselves, our social media handles, and go from there.
All of those. Hello, I am Crystal Beasley.
Don't forget the middle name, Crystal. LaShaun.
Crystal LaShaun Beasley.
Yes.
Native Houstonian.
From that east side.
From the east side,
Yes,
born
sir.
and raised.
Yes, sir.
Graduate of the Booker T. Washington High School and the High School for Engineering Professions.
Okay.
Went on to LSU, Louisiana State University. Finished with a BS in environmental engineering.
Okay.
Then I went on to University of Maryland, Baltimore County.
Right.
Majored in engineering management with a minor in environmental engineering.
Right.
social media handles. So I am Bees, BEAS, The Environmentalist.
Okay.
So follow me if you're trying to follow anything dealing with environmental sustainability, I would say, right? So that's why I'm trying to educate people more on environmental awareness, so we can just be a little bit more cautious on how we live our day-to-day lives, and what are some small changes we can start to implement or make, or train up your kids so that they can reduce their carbon footprint.
Okay.
We can do a better job at that. I'm also the owner of Be Aspire Environmental Consulting Firm.
Okay.
And the handle for that is Be Aspire Enviro. And so I do environmental compliance consulting for private and public industries there. And so there you'll just see more of an environmental compliance going on, and just kind of talking about different regulatory events that may be coming down and how we can be impacted, some discussions on environmental justice.
Right.
Numerous of those things, I would say. Those are my two only. And then, I mean, the names are the same pretty much on Facebook. I can be found and located.
Okay. And listen, I don't even have to follow after that intro, but my name is John Ross Dike I, founder and CEO of Still Visionary Inc., graduate of the Booker T. Washington.
There you go.
And the High School for Engineering Professions class of 2003,
yes,
alongside my buddy here.
Class
like we said, we took all our core classes together. You can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at John Ross Dike and Still_Visionary, and the What's Next Pod _ on IG.
Okay.
If you would, connect with me on LinkedIn, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my fan page on Facebook, and visit my website at stillvisionary.com.
Oh my God, I can't follow all the handles and the social media. Like, I'm just now getting up to date on that. Like, a lot of my friends have just been on that, and they have done an awesome job. Right. I didn't really understand the importance of it. Right. But, now I do.
Right. Primarily. Make sure that you buy a t-shirt. Okay, I print t-shirts as well. And you can shop stillvisionary.com/merch.
Awesome. Come on, merch. You have some sweatshirts up here?
Long sleeves. They're at the house.
Okay. I think I'm going to take a long sleeve for sure.
Okay.
I need more long sleeve shirts.
Cash App John Ross Dike.
Come on, Cash App.
Oh, also forgot to mention I'm a realtor too.
What? Come on. Pow, congratulations. I didn't know you were a realtor.
I just passed the state portion this morning.
Come on. Congrats. Real estate is on fire.
It is.
It is on fire. Get in there and get that dough. Okay? Get that dough. Do you know who you want to... What brokerage companies you want to go with? Or?
Yeah, I have one in mind.
Okay, well, good.
I have one in mind.
Well, that's great.
I already know where you're going.
No, I was just asking.
No, but I was leaning towards that direction too.
Okay, come on.
It's a lot of what I like over there. It's like youth, youthfulness.
And it's not a lot of guys, and that'll work in your that'll work in your advantage.
Yeah. I wanted to get her on the podcast.
Yeah, she'll definitely do it.
But I didn't want to do it without being ready.
Okay, come on. Gotta get ready. But you've been ready. You've been doing this a long time. Like, JR, you've been doing this, in my opinion.
Come on.
Since before people started doing podcasts. You saw the vision long before. Come on, Crystal. And I really did. I told you, I haven't been on the social media type atmosphere, the environment. Like, I didn't understand the importance of it, the podcast, all that stuff. Like, you saw the vision for this years ago. Kudos to you on that.
I greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Listen, I'm gonna take a second to really, what's the word my man was using last episode? He was saying, I can't think of it, but appreciate it.
Okay.
Because, a lot of people won't say that. Yeah. They know it, but they won't say it.
Whoa. know. I don't know why.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, everybody's doing podcasts now, or some type of way to get content out there. And I mean, this is something that you saw early on. You know, I mean, it's a vision.
Yes. Yes.
You know, it's a vision is important.
Right.
It's very, very important.
I just think that for me, man, at the time when I started, it was one of those things where I wanted to do another project, you know, being an actor. That type of production takes a lot. Okay. It's a lot of turnaround. It's a lot of overhead. It's a lot of personnel involved. And our first venture through it was on the lower end of the scale when it comes to finances. But it still took a lot of time to write, to edit, to film, to chop, to go through drafts, to come back and say, "No, that's not it. Change that scene. The lips are off here. The color's off. The sound's off." And so I wanted to do something different and faster. In addition, I should say. Okay.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, I think you hit it on the nail.
Yeah.
You definitely have hit it on the nail. I'm enjoying. I like this.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling it out. I like this. Come on.
Beasley, listen, man. You had a video on Instagram the other day.
I did. And
it did very, very well.
And let me just say this, okay? Because this, I mean, my friend, and I'll just say her name, Nicole, has been trying to get me to do like videos and stuff for a while, right?
Right.
And I just was like, oh, why do I have to do this? Da, 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 da. And I mean, it's just, and what came over me is, it was just like, there is just a huge lack of awareness. Like, I'm not going to even say education. I won't even say that, because I don't expect people to just fully understand that, right? Some of it is education for me, but some of it is just experience. So I can't just say, I can't leave my people out there, right? I can't leave us out there, and like, I know we need to know that there's some things that we should and should not be doing, right? So I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I want to give you the facts,
right?
You know, and then you can make a decision on what you should do from there,
right? COVID happened in 2020.
Yes,
the freeways were clear. There was no traffic.
None.
We were inside, so we really couldn't get acclimated to the weather. We didn't have a summer. We didn't have a fall.
Well, wait a minute now.
Okay.
Because we free flowing. Right?
Okay, go ahead.
Wait a minute now, because you know Texas, we wide open.
Oh yeah. What you mean?
Meaning everything's continuing to happen here. I mean,
well, I'm talking about in 2020 though.
Everything wasn't open in 2020.
Well, I don't know, because I was tucked away. Listen.
What I'll say is that, I mean, summer starts at the end of summer officially starts in June. So
for us,
according to the calendar.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha,
I don't know the exact date, but somewhere after Father's Day,
right? Okay.
Summer officially starts,
right?
And it goes all the way to September,
right?
Do you think we were open during that time?
Yeah, we were, but I'll tell you where I was.
Okay.
I was tucked off.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I did summer school from the house.
Oh, this is true.
I finished the school year from the house.
This is true.
I did the podcast from the house.
Okay, well, all right. I'll say we were partially closed. I'll say that, partially.
Now, I don't know about the city. I'm just speaking about me in particular.
Okay, gotcha.
I was nowhere to be found because I wasn't trying to catch that bug.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the majority of people, when it comes to the day-to-day life, the ins and outs, those things were shut down.
Right.
You know, you didn't go to work. Some people did, essential people, but if you weren't essential, you were primarily at home. Right. So, okay, I agree with you.
So what were you doing?
I was here. Working. Yeah. Barely spending gas. You know. Maybe spending a little bit more money at the grocery store than usual. The entertainment bill went down.
Right.
You know, the budget for that went down. But yeah, it was primarily here. I didn't do any traveling. I was tempted, but I did not do any traveling. I pretty much chose to take this time to be still and, take care of some personal things that I needed to take care of, right. Which I was able to accomplish those. I wanted to travel. I was supposed to travel last year for my birthday, but I just canceled it because of COVID.
But you had the party, though.
I didn't have a party last year.
That wasn't the virtual party?
I did have
a
virtual party.
Yeah.
I didn't want to count that, but yeah, I did. I did have a virtual party. So I was supposed to go to Belize for my birthday. And I didn't go, and I just decided to do a virtual party from right here in this same spot.
Right.
That we're in. I appreciate you guys joining in on my virtual shindig.
We were tucked off. I think we were at my mother-in-law's house on the north side.
He said, let's just get on Christmas birthday. I mean, I may have been one of the first people to do one. Just because COVID popped off in March. My birthday was in March. Yeah, it was cool.
Oh, man. So, like we were saying, the weather, we really couldn't get acclimated to that. Right. And then the winter comes. And then we're still presently in winter because the groundhog or whatever didn't see himself or saw himself or whatever it was. But then we go through the coldest winter ever. Right?
Like 100 year.
Right.
That's the last time we've experienced temperatures this extreme. I mean, I posted what I posted about the boil water advisory, and we could talk about that later. But prior to that, we were talking about the polar vortex as to why, we're seeing these extreme cold winters, right? Of course, Texas has not seen this, but, up north, the winters have been getting more brutal and brutal every single year, and I mean, all of this stuff kind of ties into climate change, even though people don't want to believe it, but it does.
Right.
I mean, the earth continues to warm. And then you have your different layers within the ozone, the stratospheres, and those things are there to protect us, from the extreme heat from the sunlight, protect us from different jet streams and things like that. And it's unfortunate. Our atmosphere is dying. That's probably not the word I should use, but it's not. I mean, to give people to sit and think about what is really going on, just turn on the news. Turn on CNN, turn on ABC News, CBSN News, and you see what's going on in Mars?
Listen, I don't know. That's why, when you did the video, I said it's time to podcast.
I mean,
this is something I don't know. I heard about the boil thing, but my water really didn't get cut off like that. My water the pressure was low. Right. And then, I brushed my teeth with a bottle of water one day.
Okay. That was the right thing to do.
And then I didn't shower the first day.
Okay.
So after that first day, you start to kind of feel a little,
uncomfortable.
Yeah. Just, you kind of itching a little bit more than you normally are. And so I just tried to stay put.
Right.
And
so
then,
Okay.
And then when I got to moving, it was like, nah, it's time. I got to do something. I can't go another day without a shower.
Yeah. So come on, Jay. Come on, JR. To you, JR, and my sisters and my brothers, come on now. Our ancestors had to fight worse than we did in terms of bathing. Come on now.
Wait a minute. Okay.
All they were asking you to do was to boil you a I mean, they can't tell you how to do it, but all you needed to do was just boil you a pot of water on the stove.
Okay.
Boil it and then let it cool off now. Because I had a homeboy here. He was trying to eat some gumbo and he needed to wash his hands. And I said, you got to let that water cool. He talking about, no, I'm hungry. And he went in there and damn near burned his skin off.
Yeah.
You got to let the water cool and then you just take the pot in the shower with you.
Yeah.
And you just got to clean yourself like that. I mean, that's what I have done.
I mean, that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Right?
That's pretty much all you have to do. I mean, when I walk out of there, I feel clean.
Right.
you got some soap and
Right.
you have some
Right.
water, so you need to do it. I mean, as of today, I received a notification that the boil advisory has been lifted. So highly grateful for that. But I mean, just to kind of bring that back on the boil water advisory, if at any point you're in any city and a boil advisory has been issued, you need to respect it.
Right. Why? Why?
You have to respect it, because by them issuing a boil water advisory, they are telling you that the water does not meet the drinking water standard, the federal drinking water standard that has been established.
Mm-hmm.
They're not able to meet it.
Okay.
So there's a couple of things. So in our case, we lost pressure on the line. There could have been some other issues too, but they're not obligated to disclose those things. There could have been something like a pump failed, or a pipe busted, or it could have been something like that too. But all they're obligated to say is, hey, we need you guys to boil the water because we've lost pressure on the line. So you're required to have 20 psi minimum on the distribution line. So basically, when the pressure drops, there's a possibility that the line can be compromised. It can be compromised with particles, with sediments, or potentially fecal coliform and different bacteria can actually get into the water line. So that's why it's a requirement that the water stays at a certain pressure, because that prevents that. Another thing too is that when water is distributed from the water distribution plant, there's a chlorine residual that goes into the water.
Right.
That's required. So that could have been an issue too. Like, they may have had an issue adding the chlorine residual to the line. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's numerous things that could be taking place. And they're not going to disclose all of those things because they're not obligated to. They have notified you that there's a boil water advisory in place. And basically that just means we cannot meet the drinking water standard.
Right.
So I'm off the hook because by the law, I've notified you.
Right.
And I've told you.
Right.
So, I mean, just to take it even further, when I worked in a chemical manufacturing facility, when we lost pressure on the line, we shut the water off. So the way the corporation is looking at that is the water could potentially be contaminated. I'm not taking the risk of exposing my employees. So cut the water off, bring in the portable water areas for people to wash their hands. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what we would have to do.
Right.
So the city's saying, we're going to let you still have access to this water, but we're telling you need to boil it.
Right.
It's up to you to do that.
So if you don't boil it, what are the side effects?
I mean, this is the thing. Everybody's body is different, right?
Gotcha.
Everybody reacts differently to things. Some people have allergies, some people don't. It's really just a matter of what contamination is actually in the water, right? It could absolutely be no contamination in the water.
Right.
You could be good, but it's a possibility that there can be.
Right.
So, I mean, it could be anything. And considering we're in a pandemic and the virus is running rampant, I just think everybody should choose to take the precautionary measure, right? You should just choose to take the precautionary measure. I mean, we're in a pandemic where I can go touch a surface and I can contract a virus. Mm. So I could potentially shower in some water that's contaminated, right? That has contamination in it. I don't think anybody can afford to do that right now.
Right.
I mean, our hospitals and medical staff, like, in addition to the pandemic, we can't afford to all of a sudden just have numerous of people going to the hospital because they were exposed to some type of bacteria or something in the water because they chose not to boil the water. Like, we can't afford that as a society, right?
Right.
Your wife works in the medical field. I'm sure she
does.
Right. So my thing is, why not choose the healthier option for me to protect myself, my family, and, you know, not be the person that provides that downstream effect to contributing to everything else that we have going on.
Right.
So just do your best to just try to follow the guidance that's being given, because they're not going to give you all the information because everybody doesn't understand it.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Right.
And then I even had some people ask me, they said, well, I have hot water. Can I use that? Like my hot water heater is fully functioning, etc. And so the answer to that is no. And the reason the answer to that is no is because your hot water heater does not get the water to boiling point. At boiling point is when the viruses and the bacteria becomes inactive. So unless you have a hot water heater that can reach boiling point, then yeah. But if you don't, which I don't think most hot water heaters go to boiling point. I know mine doesn't. So you got to boil the water. And then another question someone asked, I have pressure on my line now.
Right.
Because, you know, it's obvious when the pressure changed at some point this week. So they said, oh, my pressure is returned. Am I good? Well, the problem with that is that part of the process is two parts, right? So they lost pressure on the line. So they're fixing that from an operational standpoint, right? To get the pressure back. But once they fix that, they've got to wait till that operational part is completed, and then they can test the water. Right. So even though you got the pressure back, they have to wait for the test results to come back to say that they're meeting the potable drinking water standards. So that's what took so long, because a lot of people got the pressure back, but we were still under boil water notice. Right. But that's because they're waiting for the test results to come back. So if you looked at it like, I got my pressure back, but you're using water that potentially is not meeting, and I'm more than sure it wasn't meeting the standard, because they would have lifted the boil advisory. Right. So anytime they're telling you we have a boil advisory, that means they can't meet the standard. So just protect you and your family and boil the water.
Habakkuk 2:2-3 says, And the Lord answered me and said, Write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. You do what you do for yourself to prove you can do it for others. Even though the year of perfect vision needed corrective lenses, your vision was never out of focus. You remained still. You remained determined. Kobe said, the Mamba mentality is the attention to detail and the level of commitment. Run your race because you got time. Keep the momentum. Believe in your story, a creative story. Remember, never stay comfortable while trusting the process. Be innovative in your 720 hours. There will be stumbling blocks. You just keep pushing. Most importantly, what's next? Continue to drop.
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday?
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. This podcast, Beasley, C. Beasley, like we used to call her in high school. This podcast was created to talk about the journey to your, let's just say, Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa?
You know, Mona Lisa is a masterpiece.
I do know that.
So this podcast is created to talk about your journey to that.
My journey.
So correct. So creativity comes from experiences. When we were in high school, we did the engineering professions, right? And listen, that's a mouthful to spit out every time. What high school you went to? I went to Booker T. Washington High School, but then you kind of feel slighted because I got all my credits upstairs, yada, yada, yada. And then you add in the high school for engineering professions. So I just went ahead and started saying I went to Booker T. Washington. And people were like, were you in the engineering program? Yes, I was. Okay, that's the only way I could get there from the southwest side of Houston, Texas. So when you go to LSU, okay, when do you get into this environment thing?
Well, actually it started in Houston.
Okay.
Is where it really started. So my dad worked in my dad's a real estate agent, and he used to work in a chemical manufacturing facility.
Hustler.
Right? Yeah, hustler.
Donnie Beasley.
ODB. So when we were younger, this is how open things used to be, like
right.
huge lack of security. Like we could drive onto the plant. Like without showing any credentials or anything like that. So my dad worked a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. So he did real estate during the day, and sometimes he wasn't able to eat dinner with us. So we would drive to the plant, my mom, my brother, and I. We drive to the plant and take him his food. We just drive right on the plant, pull up right to his building at the plant. Isn't that crazy? Like you can't dare do that. I guess 9/11 stopped that. I'm not really sure. But we would drive to his plant, and his plant was very friendly. Like they would have events and stuff and everything, and we would always attend. But growing up on the east side, I don't know if you know, but there's like there's a lot of air pollutants.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of air pollutants because there's a lot of industry there,
because
right?
you're by the ship channel.
Right, exactly. And so the smell is not always the best. I mean, that's the number one thing I remember growing up as a kid is that the smell was not the best. And we did everything on the east side prior to me going to Booker T. Washington. I went to school there. I went to Girl Scouts there. I went to church on the east side. I mean, it wasn't anything I didn't do on that side of town. So eventually you just kind of get used to it. But I just remember one day just kind of talking to my dad about it. And I was like, does your plant focus on a way that they can control their emissions? Or I didn't use those terms, but maybe just saying a way to control the smell. And he said, perhaps. He was like, we do everything above board, but maybe that's something one day you can get into or whatever. So then when I prior to getting to Booker T, I always loved math and science.
Me too.
Right.
Me too.
I always loved math and science. And then when I got to Booker T, it was, they were introducing us to all these different fields of engineering. And I was like, I'm not doing it.
What class was this?
Hodges kind of introduced you. She gave you a little electrical, she gave you a little mechanical, and she gave you a little civil. You don't recall that?
Hodges, what was her first name?
The lady that you take the first year you get to the engineering school. The lady with the glasses, she had the twitch in her eye.
I don't remember.
We did those hoverboards.
I remember that. But
okay. Well, her class, I specifically remember her class. She's very hard. But she introduced you to a little of all of that. And I was kind of like, I'm not really feeling that, or whatever. And then one day I just started like researching. I didn't want to do chemical engineering. I heard about the nightmares that chemies went through in college. And then I said, maybe I should look into, they started telling me like water engineers or water treatment engineers. And then I started looking up environmental engineering. And then I said, okay, I think this is what I want to do. It's a little chemistry, a little biology. A lot of it is regulations. You can get into more of the mathematical stuff if you go more into like the stormwater management and stuff like that. So I was like, let's look at that. And then I just started looking at schools who had the programs. And I don't know if you remember, I really wanted to go to OU. That's why
everybody did.
Yeah, I really wanted to go to OU. Well, this was the thing. I knew coming out of Booker T, I wanted to major in environmental engineering. I didn't want to get a degree in civil engineering with a minor in environmental. So that cut out Prairie View because even though they have a good engineering school, they didn't have environmental engineering. So they cut them out. FAMU was really the number one HBCU that I wanted to attend because FAMU and Florida State's College of Engineering is together. But they weren't giving any money.
Mm.
And you know Donnie. Donnie was like, do you see how much it costs per credit hour to go here?
Yeah,
and they not giving you any money. So that cut my FAMU dreams out. So then it really just came down to, I knew I didn't want to stay in the state. I think I applied to University of Houston, but I really wasn't interested because they had environmental engineering, but I didn't want to stay in the state. So it came down to OU and LSU. And you know why I applied to LSU. I applied because they had the program, but you know the
Yeah.
Right. So
listen, insider. You have to be a Booker T. Insider.
all right. So believe it or not, OU didn't even accept me. Ain't that crazy?
No, because yeah. Because I think you were ahead of me in the class.
Well, the thing was, it was some janky stuff going on.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, we want unweighted GPAs, but I know some people that got in with a weighted GPA and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, bump them. So I ended up at LSU. Shout out to the Civil and Environmental Engineering Department there. And I actually loved it because it was so small. The year that I graduated, it was 8 of us that graduated.
From the engineering school?
From environmental engineering.
Okay.
It was only 8 of us. And we were there from the beginning and rode it out all the way those 5 years.
Right.
And it was a very diverse group, believe it or not. For it to be 8 of us, it was 5 boys, 3 girls.
Right.
I was the African American. We had a Latino and we had a Caucasian. Mm-hmm. And we had 2 African American boys, and then the rest of the guys I think were Caucasian. Right. So it was somewhat diverse in terms of race and gender. And it was just 8 of us. We finished the program. It was great. It had its ups and downs, but I will say that I had one class that I really, really struggled with. It was heat and mass transfer, which is a chemical engineering class, which is why I didn't want to major in that. But other than that, it was really, really good. I got to know my professors. I have good relationships with them to this day.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. That was just the headphone.
Okay. So I mean, that's the LSU journey. You want me to continue on?
Yes. No, but skip. Well, okay, masters, because I went to
University
DC
of Maryland.
Mm-hmm. You were working in DC, but you were in PG County or something like that?
Yes.
Okay.
So I started off Maryland Department of the Environment is where I was working doing. I was a regulatory engineer doing stormwater management, sediment erosion control, and I actually went to school full time. No, was that full time? I guess so. I went to school full time and worked full time. And so I was done with that in maybe like a year and a half or something like that. And then I ended up getting a job with the EPA.
Can you give that definition?
Oh, the Environmental Protection Agency.
In D.C.
In Washington, D.C., 1200 Pennsylvania Avenue. Yes, that's where I reside. Yeah, and so I worked under the first African American administrator of the EPA, Miss Lisa Jackson, and then of course under the first African American president, President Obama's administration. Okay, and it was just really great. Of all the administrations to work for the Environmental Protection Agency, that was the time to work for them, and hopefully it'll be the same thing under the new administration, the Biden-Harris administration. But Obama was just the number one thing I remember about him is that he was so focused on a level of transparency being available to citizens, right? So people being able to see what a nearby power plant is emitting. You know, even though you may not fully understand it, like making that data available. Right. I mean, he's one of the first administrations to do that kind of stuff. The enforcement information, that information became public under his administration, you know, in terms of what's happening to people, the bad actors, right? So it was really great to work for him. They were pushing regulations that impacted Black and brown communities tremendously. Like a lot of the regulations I worked on were contributors to air emissions to impact children with respiratory issues and things of that sort. Cleaning up nearby water bodies. So it was just a real focus on that. Now, don't get me wrong. People who are like fossil fuel lovers, I mean, they probably hated that administration because they put a lot of moratoriums in place that it's not that they were trying to stop things from happening. Like the Keystone Pipeline is one of the things that was on hold.
I don't know what that is.
So that's the natural gas pipeline between Canada and the U.S. So
on the border, or does it matter?
Well, coming down from Canada through the Midwest down to the Gulf,
Gotcha.
Pretty much.
Gotcha.
So as you know, the Midwest is very heavy into agriculture, and there's a lot of natural water bodies such as the Mississippi River, and there's some other ones all through there. So the route that they were choosing to take, it just wasn't, there wasn't an environmental impact assessment that was done to the extent that was needed. They did one, but it just wasn't, it wasn't a full evaluation to see who could be impacted, right? So we're talking endangered species, and we're talking nearby communities. We're talking long-term longevity effect of how this can impact changing landscapes, changing contours of the earth and things like that. Like you have to look at the full spectrum, because when you do not, then you have things like the fires and stuff that are happening in California.
Okay, gotcha.
Or whatever. If you don't fully assess the situation, you'll have issues 50 years from now. And that's pretty much what's going on there. Like, there wasn't a full assessment done prior to these different communities and things being established in these different areas. So, but no, his administration, they wanted to do what was right for the environment, for the long-term effect. And they wanted to make sure that underutilized communities would not be impacted, right? Because clearly there's a lot of dollars on the line, a lot of people that's going to make a lot of money, but how can that happen and, you're not putting back into the community, right? So if you're taking, and this is just a basic example, if you're taking out 10,000 trees, are you replacing any? Mm-hmm. Are you planting any new trees? Mm-hmm. So we some of us know now, but maybe some of us don't. Anytime a tree is cut, that impacts your air quality. And we're talking about mature trees, not trees that are like 10, 30 gallon trees. We're talking about large trees, because the trees suck up the carbon. Okay. Which we're emitting a lot of carbon through transportation, through energy sources, so you need the trees. You just need them. So, when we talk about full assessing the process, that's one of the things that the Obama administration challenged us. They even challenged us to put out, I worked on a regulation called dental amalgam. So basically,
I don't know what that is.
So, when, just to kind of lighten it up a little bit so it's not so technical.
It's good.
Okay, good. You know how old school people, kind of like your baby boomer generation and before the silent generation, you know how they open their mouth and smile, and in the back you see like that silver filling. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so that's dental amalgam. Okay. It's full of mercury. Okay. It's just pretty much mercury. Right. That's what it is. So you remember at some point when we came along and started getting fillings, they didn't put that in our mouth. Right. They maybe started off maybe like late 80s, early 90s, but eventually it transitioned to the little white fillings or whatever. Got you. Right. So what was happening was everybody that's getting the dental amalgam removed, the dentists were just like putting it down the sink. And what they started seeing was there's high levels of mercury in the
mixing with the water.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
In the nearby water bodies.
Gotcha.
So they even challenged us to work on that. I worked on that regulation. So I mean, just that administration definitely was thinking outside of the box, right? I would definitely say. I mean, anybody looking to and please believe the dentists were like going crazy. The dentists were like, "What? Why do we have to get EPA regulations?" You know,
right.
like they were going insane. But once they figured it out, it was no big deal. But
I don't know if this was my path, engineering. Now that I think about it, I'm more of a communications guy. Should have ended up at Yates.
Oh, JY, you can still go over there and teach. You know they just redid that school and they have top-notch equipment and everything.
I walked through there.
I think you would be awesome over there.
And
it's closer.
I wanted, a lot closer. I wanted to, but Waltrip is not that far from the house.
This is true.
I wanted to go back to Booker T and teach.
Okay.
Yeah, but principal asked me for my test scores.
What test scores?
This is how it went. We went there before they cut it. They shut it down, right? Me, Kizzy, my mother-in-law, God bless the dead, my aunt, Kizzy Annie.
Okay.
And we saw it one last time. Mm-hmm. I was talking to the principal. I was like, "Yeah, man. First of all, every time I went back to Booker T, I went to see if our picture was on the wall. Our Polaroid picture was on the wall.
Yeah, it was there, right?
It was still there. Still there. I saw myself there. Saw Claude. God bless the dead. I'm talking to the principal. I'm like, "Hey, man, I teach at Waltrip." And he's like, okay. Because Claude had told me that if I wanted to go back to Booker T,
you could.
Yeah, just holler at him and he would, go up the pipeline. So I'm talking to him and I'm just like, yeah, man, I went to Booker T. I'm thinking about, maybe possibly coming back to my alma mater, yada, yada, yada. He asked me what my test scores were.
Wait, what test scores are we talking about here?
The STAR.
Are you serious? We didn't even take the STAR. See, you got to be quick on your feet.
He okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I would have said, I would have told him, I would have said, hey, no, I didn't take the STAR. So we gotta go. We gotta go at face value.
Right.
Yeah.
When he said that, I was like, nah, because the way I got my job at Waltrip, it wasn't conventional.
Okay.
I was a loud black guy, got everybody riled up, and said, "Hey, you want to do this? You already here?" I was like, "Yeah, go ahead, sign on there." I'm really there to coach. The teaching part of it is kind of like, yeah.
Okay.
So
and that's why I said, when you said JY, I would think you would appreciate it a little bit more over there because the communication school is A1. I mean, I've heard great things about it. And of course, they have some reputable people that have come out. Of course, Roland, but there's a lady I know, Kim Guyan. I don't know if you know her, but she's produced for Steve Harvey and produced for different shows. She's a JY graduate. So, they definitely have credibility for sure, and they definitely need brothers like you.
Yeah, but I coach basketball at Waltrip. I ain't getting on that squad over there.
At JY?
Yeah.
You don't think so? JY keep a good squad.
Yeah, they probably locked in though.
I think you should try. I'm one of those that I'm gonna always apply. I tell people all the time. I'm not afraid of rejection. Never have been.
I'm not leaving Waltrip for JY.
Okay, all right.
I'm not leaving Waltrip for JY. I don't care how many state championships they got. Waltrip gave me my job. You know what I'm saying? I'm not leaving Waltrip for JY. I don't care unless I get the head coaching spot.
Oh,
but that ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen.
I think you should just speak it into existence. You shouldn't follow that up with the that's not gonna happen.
Well, what I'm speaking into existence is this is the #1 podcast.
Come on now. #1 podcast.
Listen, I know you are a music head.
Yeah, but it's certain music now. Certain music now.
What songs on your mind? What songs on your mind?
I'm just saying, you know who I really been listening to lately?
Yeah.
And you probably gonna say, ugh.
Who?
I have been jamming Nelly lately.
Okay.
I have. Like, I don't know. I'm a 90s lover.
Yeah.
I love 90s music.
Yeah,
So anything 90s music, I always love. So I've been trying to come up a decade here recently, and I've been jamming Nelly lately.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm still on the old school, but in terms of relevant music out right now, I'm in love with Jazmine Sullivan. Yeah, I like the Hotels album. I really do. And I like the fact that she kept it direct and concise. And she's like on point with that. In terms of rap, Meg, who else? Gotta go with the Stallion. The women are just killing it right now. Like, they are really killing it. And considering the fact that I love R&B, there is not a male vocalist out right now
the same thing.
that I would just say I am in love, because Chris Brown stopped singing. I don't know. It's like a talk sing or a rap sing or something. I don't know. It's not even a rap sing. I don't know what it is, but he's not singing anymore, because I love Breezy.
Right.
I love Breezy, but yeah, I don't know what the guys are doing. I mean, it's plenty male rappers out.
Right.
Plenty.
Right.
Who are you feeling?
On the way here, I was listening to Black Rob. Whoa.
Okay.
Listening to his album. I was thinking about Nas Made You Look.
Come on. You are a Nas fan, aren't you?
To the core.
And you like those fast speaking guys from the 90s.
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Bone Thugs. Oh, now I did forget to mention I am a Burna Boy fan.
Okay.
I am a Burna Boy fan, and I do like Wizkid.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know that they kind of drop music. I think Burna Boy dropped something last year, and I think Wizkid has kind of like been dropping music from. So I do like that.
Burna Boy or Burna Boy?
I'm sorry. My English / Nigerian language is terrible. Burna Boy. Is that how you said?
Burna Boy.
Burna?
Yeah.
That's not how the guy told me to say it.
That's how it reads.
Okay,
So
I was told Burna Boy.
Oh, okay, maybe so. So maybe I'm off.
Okay. But I like all his music.
Yeah.
I like old and new.
He's got a good vibe.
He does.
Yeah. He's got a good vibe.
He does.
He's well, let me not say that.
He's what?
He's the one that they do all the dances on Instagram too. The erotic dances, that is.
Really?
Yeah.
I just watch his videos.
I'm talking about the videos on Instagram.
Look, I'm not.
I'm talking about, when you go through the what's that section? The explore page.
Okay.
And then you see some of those erotic ones.
Okay.
You don't stay too long, but you scroll up and you see them. You know what I mean?
I think I have missed those. I have definitely missed those.
Oh, okay. So you are consulting, which makes sense because you got this whole Airbnb thing you're doing.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Listen, it's on our profile on IG.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah, I just updated that.
Okay, good.
I know it's a slow process for me, but yeah, I've been doing. I have Crystal's Palace. I've been doing the Airbnb thing. I mean, for a while. What's this? 2021. I started in 2015. I started doing it in 2015.
Lucrative.
It is extremely. Yeah, okay. I mean, the pandemic changed things, but it's still a good look. It's definitely still a good look. If I would definitely encourage people, if you're interested in that end of real estate, it is definitely a way to come up. Like, I know some guys, like, I started in 2015, but I just started with what I had, and I really wasn't visualizing like expanding and continuing to expand. But I know some guys that have done some, like, have thousands of them all over the country.
Right.
You know, if I would have been thinking to that level, or even I was at, my cousin told me the other day, one of my older cousins in California, he said, wouldn't it be great if you had a partner that had that same vision? I was like, yeah, it would, because you know, if I'm able to accomplish this much, like if I did have a partnership with somebody, then you know, perhaps I would have been thinking further along. But yeah, if you're interested in getting into real estate or Airbnb, I stick with the Airbnb stuff. I don't sell real estate.
Right.
I have insight on it just because, you know, my dad's been doing real estate for years. My best friend does real estate. But the Airbnb, I like it. I'm not a long-term tenant person. And my dad kind of steered me away from long-term tenants because he has always had long-term tenants probably since before I was born. And so we got to see what that experience was growing up, and I just hated it. It was like the tenant stays here and, you know, you collect rent from them or whatever. But then when they move out, like they just destroy your property. Yeah. And then, you know, back then it may, I'm sure it was some cases where my dad was evicting people, you know, because people hadn't paid their rent or whatever. And, you know, I just always looked at it like, yeah, it's a good hustle, but I don't want the headache.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want the extra headache that comes with it. And then once I got into Airbnb, the thing with Airbnb is you have a good cash flow. Right. When everything is normal, right, and you're not in the pandemic, it's a really good cash flow. And so I have employees pretty much, you know, they get paid, you know, off the property or whatever, but it's definitely something that's lucrative. If it's something that you're thinking about, definitely let me know. If I can provide any insight, I certainly will.
No doubt.
Yep. And Airbnb just went public, so they got stock out there.
Right.
Yeah, it's doing pretty good. Considering we're in a pandemic, I think it's doing really good.
You playing in the stock market?
Yeah, you got to.
Of course.
I was about to say, yeah, you got to. You got to. And then because anybody that was an Airbnb host, they gave us the stock at the IPO price. So, you know, it's good to get in on things early on. I'll just say that it's good to get in as soon as things are popping off. Like right now, one of the other things I'm trying to get into is CBD.
Right.
Don't be surprised. I'm about to have a CBD line out real soon. I'm serious.
Let me ask you this, because I love to ask this question to people. If you could describe yourself in one word, what would it be?
Fearless.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really fear anything. I'm not scared of anything. I'm not, like, how can I put it? Like, I always look at things like, if God brought me this far, why would I fear anything? Like I done been through some hurdles now. Right. I've experienced some things that were extremely challenging, and maybe some people would have even crumbled. So I mean, if He brought me this far, like why would I be scared?
Right.
You know. So I would say fearless. Yeah.
With the consulting thing, what does that look like day to day? So, you know, the thing is that it's just a lot of, it's a hustle. It's seriously a hustle. It's a hustle. It's networking. It's making sure that you're lined up for certain things, right? So when I started it was setting up the foundation for it. So lining up the foundation for the business in terms of me being a woman, me being a minority, like there's just so many, and the timing couldn't have been better, like could not have been better. But especially with everything going on last year with the Black Lives Matter movement, the George Floyd incident, is just kind of like,
if you're a Black-owned business and, you know, you kind of got yourself established in some kind of way, like you're registered with different entities or you've networked with certain people, like, you know, there are some opportunities that just kind of fell in people's laps, you know, just because of the timing. But I mean, on a day-to-day, it's pretty much a lot of networking, right? Because it's like things are not there automatically. You know, you got to go find it.
Right.
You got to go find the work.
Right.
And then you got to continue the network. Now, I will say that's kind of been a thing, the struggle, is because 2020, we've been at the house. So the ability to go to networking events, the ability to go to proposal meetings and things like that, that stuff is online, but it's not the same, right? Right. It's different when you show up in a room and you can introduce yourself. And, you know, regardless of what people say, perception is everything. Appearance, all that kind of stuff. You know, some people can just have a vibe or a chemistry with people and they may just want to work with somebody, you know, just from that. You can't get that from a virtual meeting. You know, you can't get that. So the networking thing is somewhat a challenge with the virus situation. But yeah, day to day is a hustle. It's like putting in proposals, working on things, talking with your attorneys to make sure the contracts are right, you know, that kind of stuff. That's pretty much it. And, you know, as the work comes, it gets distributed out to like other experts that may, you know, work with my organization, etc.
Okay.
That's what it looks like.
Today is February 21st, 2021.
Yeah.
We have 313 days left in the 2021 year. What do you hope to attain in 313 days?
I would say the goals. I actually need to revisit my goals. I set some goals last month. I need to revisit them. So I'll definitely say finishing up a marketing plan. I have some policies and things that I need to get in place just to have for foundational purposes. I got a couple of things I'm hoping to close out. You know, I can get some dotted lines signed on some agreements. And what else? The CBD.
Right.
The CBD, I should have done the CBD last year, but the CBD line is definitely one. And then one other thing that I didn't really put out there because we haven't really started marketing it is I'm going into a business venture with some of my cousins. So we're supposed to be trying to work to farm our family heritage land. So,
in Marshall.
In Marshall. So hopefully if we can get everybody on board for that, we'll be good with that. And the name of that is, and the only reason I'm saying it is because we've registered the business, but it's Mavion Farms. And we're looking to do some beekeeping, produce some honey. We've talked about doing some solar panels, and with everything that just happened in Texas with this whole electric grid, we may actually push that forward.
Right.
We're also looking at doing a tree farm where we sell trees to local nurseries. So we're trying to sell to nurseries like in Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, and Oklahoma just because of the location of Marshall.
Right. It's like a damn what do you call it? Like it's like every you can touch everything.
You can touch everything. That's the good thing about Marshall, that actual city, that you can touch that many different states.
Right.
So we're
lovely.
Yeah, it really is. When we sat and thought about it from a transportation standpoint, it's like this is really extremely beneficial because you have just all these different areas you can sell into. So the tree farm, My cousin's talking about a winery, but we're gonna see on that. That may be more longevity. And then we've even had some conversations about hemp, about growing hemp. But if we do that, I don't really. We're not really sure. But those are the 4 areas we're looking at: beekeeping for honey production, hemp, tree farm, solar panels, and wine. So we're gonna start off with 1 first.
Right.
See how that goes, and then we'll try to do other things from there.
Right. Right. Earlier you mentioned that I know why you chose LSU. If OU, LSU didn't happen, FAMU was off the table, PV wasn't right, what other engineering school would you have chosen?
That's a good question, because I'm trying to think of where else I applied. I did not want to go to A&M.
Yeah.
I did not. I applied. They gave me money, everything. I did not want to go.
Right.
I mean, that I guess that potentially could have been an option. But it's North Carolina A&T.
Got you.
Yeah, because I applied there for sure and got in, and they had a good engineering school, so it would have been North Carolina A&T. I probably wouldn't have majored in environmental engineering, but it would have probably been A&T.
Was it always engineering for you?
Always. I never changed my major. I established my major the first day I got to LSU and never changed. The only thing that changed was I added minors because of the fact that I ended up staying there 5 years. I just started looking at it, and I had to take some business classes for the engineering degree. And I just started looking at it, and I'm like, oh, well, I could easily acquire this minor and this minor. So I have 2 minors, technical sales and business administration.
Got you.
So I just added those just because I was already there. Might as well take these extra classes.
Got you. Most importantly, the last question I'll ask is, what's next?
Well, I just told you the CBD is next. I'm definitely putting out a CBD line. I'm not going to say the name of it because I haven't lined up the paperwork with the attorney and all that kind of stuff. Oh, yeah. Because my attorney probably going to see this, and she would be like, what? So nope, can't say that. But definitely planning to do a CBD line. It'll be 800 milligrams. It's going to address pain. I'm actually using it now, and it actually works really good in terms of, one will be 800 milligrams. The other one will be 2,400 milligrams. And so it works.
You ain't gonna feel shit.
Yeah.
24.
Exactly. And my dad has a hip problem.
Yeah.
So I've been testing it out on him he needs a hip replacement.
Right.
So I've been testing it out with him. He doesn't use it consistently like I need him to use it. But I'll just say this, with the 800 milligram, if I have a headache, you don't even need aspirin anymore. Like that's where we are with this CBD. I just take that CBD and I wherever my head is hurting me. So like if I'm having a headache here, if I'm having one on my temple on the side, I just rub that CBD in and give it about 30 minutes to an hour. Headache's gone.
Yeah.
Headache is gone. And I've even had like a hangover headache.
Right.
And used it on that, and it worked.
No more BC powder, huh?
No more BC powder. It's not good for your liver. And all that stuff anyway. So yeah, we getting off of that. We getting off a lot of these medications and things like that. So I'm gonna start off with the one that addresses the pain.
Right.
So I'm trying to help people with like knees, joints, hips, just like minor headaches, arthritis.
Right.
If you have that. So the CBD is next. And then after the CBD, I would like to get more Airbnbs.
Right.
I would like to get more Airbnbs. I don't actually have any in Texas. So I want to get one in Texas.
Okay.
What else? and then the farming thing.
Right.
I'm really excited about the farming thing.
Yeah.
Cause it's a heritage thing, right?
Right.
And my cousins and I that are doing it, it's not a lot of us. It's only 4 of us that want to do it, but it's all women.
Right. Okay.
Black women.
Beasleys. Well, some Beasleys and.
Well, no, this is the
Your mama's side.
This is my mom's side. This is my maternal grandmother's side of the family.
Right.
And so my grandmother's name is Vivian.
Okay.
And their grandmother's name is Mary.
Okay.
So we just combined the names. Mavion.
Okay.
Mavion Farms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what's next. I mean, working on that, and then still, of course, doing the consulting things. I'm always keep the things around that are the working towards the bread and butter. The Airbnb is definitely the bread and butter, but the consulting is just a work in progress.
Right.
Yeah, so just kind of got my hands in a few things, and then I told you on the social media side, I'm just trying to push us to be a little bit more environmentally conscious. You know, my mom even said today, I didn't see the news on the press release with Mayor Turner when the bore water advisory was lifted, but he said that he want to encourage everyone to recycle because, you know, they've been doing all this water distribution. And so, you know, just like small things like that, you know, recycle, understand what's recyclable, what's not recyclable.
When you think about it, everything is.
Yeah, pretty much. It pretty much is. From electronics, like you shouldn't be throwing electronics in the trash. And Best Buy even pays people for electronics. So like if you have an old cell phone or something and you don't want to give it back to AT&T or whoever, you can take it to Best Buy and they'll pay you money for it.
Gotcha.
And then I'm actually going to mention a company because I know them, and it's black owned, South Post Oak Recycle.
Okay.
They take metal scraps and they give you cash for it.
Talking about, oh, really?
Yeah, and this is a black owned business.
You're talking about South Post Oak and Maine.
Yeah, the recycle place.
I'm from over there.
Yeah, they will give you money for metal scraps.
Got you.
And so like you said, pretty much everything is recyclable. And considering the fact we're in a pandemic, I definitely want to encourage everyone, you know, if you've been working remotely, and it's been working, right? So like your job's satisfied with your performance, you're satisfied with your performance, and you're okay with it. You know, I don't know everybody's family dynamic. You know, definitely try to be an advocate in your workplace to continue the remote work,
right? The
virtual work, because it helps the environment.
Right. We
have seen tremendous help in carbon emissions in the atmosphere around the world due to the pandemic. So if you're able to advocate for that, if you're able to continue that, by all means do that.
Right.
Yeah, because transportation is the number one pollutant.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're able to do that, please do.
It's good to have you here.
I agree. Now you make me want to do these all the time. Oh my God, it's my first time and I'm just like, what?
So what I do on the podcast is every creative that comes on, I give them this exclusive SVI t-shirt.
Exclusive?
And I made this, when I say exclusive, I don't sell this black t-shirt to anybody in the city.
Okay.
I only give it to the people that come on the podcast.
Okay. Come on.
And
it feels good.
And the 2020 edition, now I'm carrying on in 2021, is the exclusive What's Next podcast t-shirt.
Oh, I get 2.
Yes, you do.
Come on.
Yes,
this
you
is
do.
So nice.
Yes, you do.
Come on, still visionary. I love it.
February is coming to an end soon.
Oh no, happy Black History Month. We didn't even have like a Black History moment.
Who you got?
Let's see. Who do I have that I want to mention? Oh, once you told me that.
I'm going to go with...
Thank you.
Let me go with Combat Jack.
Ooh.
You know who he is?
I don't.
He's been regarded as the godfather of podcasting. He passed away a couple of years ago. Cancer.
Okay.
It was cancer. I don't know if it was colon or it was cancer. But he was Jay-Z's lawyer at a point in time. Okay. So he handled those big guys. And so he was really like the architect of podcasting. And so he'd bring people on, and he's almost like, you know how Noriega is? Mm-hmm. If you've ever watched this podcast, the people he brings on, he's like he was almost there when these people are telling stories. And I think that's really what builds his podcast, is the fact that he was there when they're talking about these significant times. Okay. And Joe Budden and them, they really regard him high. So I'm gonna go Combat Jack. Okay. Rest in peace.
So now that you said that, I do have a Black History moment, and I'm gonna tie it in to the things that I do. So the Black History moment is not necessarily an individual, but it's more so the movement of Black people within this country. So considering I do Airbnb, I'm an Airbnb host. Shout out to Crystal's Palace. That's the name of my entity. Okay. But I just want to say, I don't know if we realize that we are the starters of Airbnbs. So during segregation, I don't know if everybody really thought about this. During the segregation time, we all know we had the Green Book, right? Hotels and places that people could visit or travel to, where Black people were welcome. But the other part was that certain homes in older Black communities, Third Ward is one of those, where you will see a home where there's multiple doors to get into the home, right? And in some of these homes, they've been reconfigured now, but some of those doors went directly into private rooms that was separate from the rest of the house, so that when we traveled to different places, this house may have been on the Green Book list where people could go and basically rent a room. Right. Isn't that crazy? Like, we pretty much started that. And with like the bus boycott, that's pretty much like Airbnb. Mm-hmm. Not Airbnb, I'm sorry, Uber.
Okay, yeah.
Bus boycott was a form of Uber and Lyft. Mm-hmm. You picking up people, taking them to work. Right. And you may have more than one person in the car. Right. Drop off somebody else along the way. Right. Look how creative we were during those times, right? Always been. Yeah. So I just want to shout out, Happy Black History Month, and shout out to the movement, because the movement definitely started a lot of things. And I would like to challenge everyone, during this time, if you are investigating Black history in this country, look at some of those things, because you may find something that you could start a business on that we've already been doing. Right. It just needs the technology to go along with it. Right.
Houston, Texas. This is episode 106 with my homie. An individual, a female that I did a lot of high school with.
Yes, high school. And I do want you guys to know that I am part of the reason that him and his wife are together. Okay.
I had to stop because I know you were gonna go.
Yeah.
I had to stop. Go ahead, go. Okay?
I had to go there. Okay. I have been a mediator for a long time. Okay, mediating between engineering and the basketball team. JR trying to shoot his shot. Okay, he was shooting it for a while, and then he finally landed on that three. I don't know if you was really shooting on the basketball court.
I wasn't.
You were not.
I was not.
Because if I were to ask somebody, they would say, "Ooh, no." They say Rudy Poo. That's what they say.
Oh man, look, man. When class of 2003 gets together, this is what it looked like, man. This is my homie LaShaun.
Come on now.
Big K, what up?
Yes, Big K. DK.
Houston, Texas. I do what I do for myself to prove that I can do it for others. Peace and blessings.
Bye-bye.
Yo, it feel like 95. Sachi on my body. Biggie, jigger, puffy, all that ballin' is a hobby. And I'm wildin' in my wallies. And them valleys, no Pilates. More weight, get you more wet. Nah, that's these Bugatti. My crystal ball, I see crystal. I crystal ball. I saw sign like Ace of Spades. That Ace of Spades get cracked. I'm like, cheers to the money guy. The Willie niggas who buy them bottles. And then they spill these liquors. Yo, salute my dude. I see you. 5 bottles, 1 gig. Why I need 2 bras? I know I'm out of line, but love is shower time. You know it rose rain when your cloud is 9. Get off that high ass hussy. This a private party. Been on my dick too long. Put breath on private party. You gon' be nice and naughty. These balls on Platinum's Audi. This the upper crust. Fuck is up. Over and done. Overdose. Guess we did it again. Sippin' with no remorse. We gon' do it again and we gon' do it again.